Awesome. Right, hi, welcome to Business Focus. I'm Ian Strachan, and today I'm with Andy Firth from Ascensor. Welcome, Andy.
Thanks, Ian. Thank you for asking me.
Not at all, not at all. Let's get straight into it. Come on, tell me about your business. What is it you do, and how long have you been in business?
So Ascensor, we're a digital agency. We've been in business for about 15 and a half years, so we're 16 this year. We develop websites and sort of software solutions, applications, that sort of stuff. We're an integrated agency, so we drive traffic using both organic and paid sort of advertising channels into software, and then we help the business owner or the software owner to get more value from that. So really trying to focus on conversions.
Okay, that sounds like a really developed kind of solution. 16 years ago, I suspect we didn't have that level of advancement.
Well, I think, I guess particularly in Leeds, digital agencies are sort of 10 a penny, and even though we do the same things as a lot of other businesses in what we do, it's important to have a proposition, as you'll know. And I think focusing on conversion for us is helping a business to achieve an objective. Building a website that doesn't get marketed, or providing a marketing service to drive traffic into a website that doesn't convert, doesn't help anybody really. So having that focus on conversion gives us that proposition and that message, and it's only the same as what we've been doing anyway, but it sort of creates that sort of loop of ongoing retained requirement. You always need more traffic, and you can always make your software better. So it just enables us to build long-term relationships with our clients.
I love that, because that's so often when we speak to a digital agency, we talk about the nuts and the bolts. Is it Facebook ads? Is it Google ads? Is it leads on the website? But you come from a different perspective. This is about the end result. It's a benefit to the human rather than the actual nuts and bolts of what happens.
Absolutely. And many businesses will come to us and say, oh, I want SEO, or I want this, or you want that. It's really important to sort of take a step back and question that. Ultimately what they want is more business, whether that's leads or whether it be sales. They want more of it, and that's why they come to us. So it's really important that we look and see what the quickest route to some success is. So trying to introduce quick wins. So just in that example, as far as SEO is concerned, SEO takes time, and if a business is paying for something and not seeing any results, it can be a little bit demoralizing for them and questionable about what they're paying for. So you do things in the short term to sort of generate some value, while some of the longer term activities are starting to take hold.
So tell me more about that, taking a step back. What's the actual practicalities of that, taking a step back? What steps do you go through to take a step back?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to, so it's different for different businesses and different I guess objectives, whether that be like B2B or B2C, lead gen or e-commerce. And we got a really cool, for instance, a really cool B2B lead gen process. We love it because that's notoriously very, very difficult. You have to work really closely with your customer, because we can generate leads, but ultimately it'll be a salesperson or some mechanism going on in the background that's going to convert that. So it's really important that we can attribute value to each lead that we bring in, and we understand whether they're good leads or not, and all of that sort of stuff. So in that process, we start with data mining. We try to understand the types of businesses that they would like to be put in front of, because I think that's the sales process in a nutshell. Now you've got to put yourself in front of a business, and then you generate inbound inquiries. Gone are the days of sort of door knocking and cold calling and that sort of stuff. So data mining, build up a data set, then we start to generate sort of similar audiences, set up awareness campaigns. So we're trying to trigger some awareness with that data set. Data set will be sat in I don't know, some sort of a CRM. We use HubSpot, but anything for sort of prospecting. Then as we start to generate awareness and ultimately some sort of an interaction, we're able to sort of close the loop and really understand from our data set and the affinity audiences where the prospect is. B2B lead gen is generally not like a split decision purchase. Is generally a considered purchase. So people are doing their research. They're not going to convert on that first visit. So we have nurturing processes in place, which might be triggering emails or triggering retargeting or something, ultimately to be there at the time when that prospect who we should have already identified and started to sort of raise our, build awareness with, not just raise awareness, but start to build a remote relationship with. Ultimately, when they're ready to convert, they feel like they know our client, and our client already understands a lot about them already through the CRM process. So it's different in each case, but I think that from us, it's about taking a step back to figure out, right, in this particular case, in this sector, where are we going to generate the best bang for the buck? Because ultimately that's what's going to build a long-term client.
And I love that as the boiled down, the real nuts and bolts of the granularity of marketing. A genuine marketing mission is what you've just described there. But that must have taken, I mean, you've been in business over 16 years, so I'm guessing there's a lot of process has gone into that. What do you guys have internally to keep on refining and perfecting that process to keep on delivering leads so well?
Yeah, I mean, that one that I've just described was, for anything, nothing in this world is fixed, and you should be wanting to keep changing and keep making improvements. And, that particular case was probably born out of frustration in the fact that businesses were paying us to generate leads into software that we developed. However, there was no sort of real, I guess, follow through from the client side, in the fact that there was no data going into a CRM system. So you're having to sort of rely on sort of more of a manual communication to understand whether what we driven in the particular week or the particular month was working. So starting to build CRM into that marketing process was something that was necessary. We do lots of funky stuff around sort of phone number tracking and using dynamic phone numbers so that we can pin down a particular user session back to the CRM and that sort of stuff. And it's about being accountable. And I think, we're only going to retain clients if we can demonstrate the value that we're adding. So we need to be able to say, for every £1 you've spent this month, you've had this many more pounds back in return. B2B lead gen doesn't, it's not, they're not transactional websites. So it's a continuous understanding from our side how the customer's doing in terms, our customers doing in terms of converting their customers' leads. What those conversion rates are like, what those average sale values are, because then we can bring that back down to what's a lead worth. And so I think it's all change comes from always trying to be better, fixing stuff that doesn't work. But if something's working, not thinking, well, this is great, always thinking, brilliant, but how much better could it be? What else can we do to make it better? And I think that's what conversion rate optimization on a website is all about. A page might be doing well, but continuously looking for ways to get more of a result from the traffic that it's getting generates more bang for the buck for the marketing activity.
Fascinating, because I mean, everything you said there about marketing and about actually monitoring the test and measure, which is a key part of what we talk about in coaching, that all stacks up for you as a really strong retention tool. By the sounds of it, it's about client retention for you, as opposed to, right, we're going to do some marketing. You've actually got a test and measure which really delivers for you. Is that something that you've learned through the 16 years, or did you come to it with that intention in the first place? How have you got to that level of perfection and focus?
Yeah, I mean, I think when we started developing websites, nearly 16 years ago, it was always really important to make sure that the website was set up for marketing. It was optimized for the search engine. So even if a customer didn't have a marketing service or didn't plan to have a marketing service, there's certain things that you need to do. And a lot of agencies at the time that I came across weren't doing that. They were either building websites or they're a marketing company. So if you built a website and then a marketing company got involved, invariably they'd say, well, you need to change this and this, and customers then gonna have to pay us again for it. So it was going to be frustrating for them to say, well, you've just paid for you to build this thing, and now you're having to change things quite quickly. So it was important for us to develop solutions that were already well optimized, but then B, build a solution that ultimately is going to be marketed. And over those 16 years, I think that we've got to the stage where we don't really want to develop solutions for businesses that aren't going to market them, because what's the point? I mean, don't get me wrong, we're not in the, we sort of understand what our ideal customers are like, and there's certain things that we just can't do anymore because of the type of work that we do. But in the main, if we don't have an opportunity to market the site, I'd sort of argue why that site was built in the first place. Surely it's there to do something. Gone are the days where businesses have a website for the sake of having a website, or an app for the sake of having an app. It's about user numbers, it's about interactions, it's about their conversion at their side. So it's a really, it's what gets us out of bed, and it's a really strong proposition, I think, as to why somebody should use Ascensor rather than somebody else is just going to build them a piece of software.
I'm fairly sure I just heard Andy say that what gets you out of bed is the numbers.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really is, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
fascinating. Yeah, it's down to the numbers. The test and measure what flows through onto the website is your definition of success and what drives you.
100%. I mean, I originally in my career, I wanted to be a management consultant, a business consultant, and it was a big thing in the 90s, and I never got to do that. But I think I sort of do get to do that anyway with Ascensor, in the fact that we're there helping another business to be successful using technology.
What does that mean to you, helping another business to be successful? What does that mean to you personally, Andy?
Their growth means we'll grow.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
If we help somebody to grow, then ultimately we're going to grow as a result of it. I just think never been somebody to focus, and maybe that's why we've not grown as fast as other agencies, but I've never been somebody to focus on our own growth, and doing things to try and help Ascensor, because I've learned, I'm a bit long in the tooth now, but I've learned along the way, our own success will come from our helping other businesses. Being a strong business is a byproduct of being a good business.
I get that, and I love the fact that it's the successful businesses that drive you. But I'm going to suggest in those 16 years, I mean, you come across quite chilled today. You've obviously got a grip of the world around you. I'm guessing in those 16 years, though, there's been some moments, maybe some pressures and some challenges upon you. What stands out from the previous 16 years as the moments when you really had to dig deep?
Yeah, I mean, I think when we started the business, the reason I did that, it was because we were in the credit crunch, and I'd got an e-commerce business that was selling toys and games, and people weren't rushing out to buy them anymore, and I'd just left my job, and I needed to do something. I didn't want to be sat in a warehouse anyway selling products and stuff. So creating Ascensor to go out and resell technology that was working well in our own business, and the marketing activities that was working well in our own business just seemed like a no-brainer to me. So I think that was the first thing. I think, all sorts of things, at difficult times, as there have been some, making redundancies is really, really tough. I guess it's quite difficult. It's quite difficult because you just get through the situations that you get through. But the best thing about it is, we're apparently facing difficult economic times. I mean, not many businesses I know are really feeling that, but obviously the media doesn't help, I think. And, I'm sure there is worse to come. But I think from my perspective, it's not the first time we've been through this. And therefore I'm not concerned.
It's not your first rodeo, Andy. It's not your first rodeo.
It's not. And I think, recruitment has been really, really difficult. COVID was difficult in the fact that there was a lot of uncertainty. We introduced remote working before the government forced us to do that, which was something I was really proud of, but we were really keen to get back. We'd moved into our building, in December 19, so 3 months before lockdown. At the time I was like, oh my God, we just paid all of this money to fit the place out. We'd recruited people, and then we're working from home. But looking at it positively, had we not have got in here when we did, we'd have still been where we were, which wasn't a suitable place or a suitable building for us. And I just think that, it's about the journey. You're never gonna
it's about and so I love that it's about the journey, which always is, it's such a glib phrase, but kind of it's about the journey. What is it about the journey? What is it for you, Andy, about the journey?
I think it's just a constant learning. I can't remember who the quote was from, but somebody gave me a quote the other day. It said, you're either winning or you're learning. You don't lose. And I think as long as you don't keep making the same mistake over and over again, I think that's true.
Yeah.
I think that, realizing that, there's problems in business, and there's problems in all sorts of situations, but nothing's killed us. And therefore, it takes something pretty seismic. I think, we, like I said before, we've probably not grown as fast as other businesses, but that then also gives me confidence that we're really stable. I've got colleagues, in our 15 and a bit years, I've got colleagues that have been with us for 14 years, somebody else 13 years, several for over 10 years. So even though we've had quite a few people come and go, as you'd expect in that amount of time, got a really good stable core who've also been through this stuff with me. So, when you face difficult situations, most of us have faced them together previously, which is very, very reassuring.
Yeah. And how much time do you spend celebrating wins there? Because it's so easy. The emotion is such that when things go wrong, it tends to stick in our mind. The difficult thing for us, being very English, is that we don't always celebrate the wins. So what's going really well for you at the moment? What 2 or 3 great wins have you had recently?
Yeah, I mean, we've sort of new client wins. We've won some serious pieces of work. We're working on these at the moment, so we are going to be case studying them soon, but they've come off the back of other great pieces of work we've done over the last couple of years, such as building a trade application process for magnet kitchens. We've integrated that with Experience to do automatic credit checking, and then creating a customer accounts within their SAP system. Stuff like that, turns a 5-day paper-based process into something that is generating, a couple of hundred trade applications a day across all of their outlets. That type of story then helps us to win more similar sorts of work. We do some brilliant work for a company called Crisp, where they're a health and safety compliance software provider. The software has helped them to get into some massive companies, and it's because of it's what we've built. And in terms of celebrating, we have a really, really positive culture within the business, so anything that's positive goes out through our Teams channel. I do a Friday morning shout out to the whole team following feedback that I get across the different departments to just celebrate success. There's loads of team stuff that goes on where it's important to be positive, because then when things don't go as well as possible as they could have done, then it enables you, I think, to sort of have those open and honest conversations, and you don't have a fear of negativity, because it's like, this has happened, how can we not have that happen again, how can we resolve it, and all of those things. And I think it all comes from that celebrating when you do well. It's 2 sides of the same thing.
I love that. It's the Formula One analogy. If the Formula One team loses a race, they always have a massive debrief what went around it. And in recent years, they're now in a massive debrief when they win as well. And that was a bit of a change of culture. I do love that. I love that. But with that wealth of wisdom that you've got and you've spoken all the way through for the last 20 minutes, really appreciate that. If you went back to your 10-year-old self, what advice would you give your 10-year-old self right now, Andy?
Start sooner.
Start sooner. That's a really interesting. I love the when's the best time to plant an oak tree kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate, as I realize when I get older, you get older and you've got the experience and you've got the means, but you've lost a lot of other things as well. So there's definitely like a tipping point. So maybe 5 or 6 years earlier, I would have been good. But otherwise, I just think, you might call me a chancer, but I just say I take my chances. And it's about spotting opportunities and exploring things and being really open-minded to stuff. And I think they're the things that I think enable you to trust your judgment. And sometimes you've got to be a bit older to know that. I guess that
goes back to either winning or you're learning, doesn't it? Straight away. What a great message that is. Brilliant, Andy. Thank you so much for that. Brilliant insight and some lovely lessons in there. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming along to Yorkshire Business Focus this week.
Thank you very much, Ian. Thanks for inviting me.
Not at all. And we're back again next week. Thank you very much.